I always knew if something was going to take me down, it wouldn't come from outside. Not a rival company, not the market, not the economy. My dad used to say it plain as gravel. Betrayal never comes from your enemies, son. It comes from the ones you hand the keys to. He wasn't wrong. My name's Ryan Kemp. I'm 53. I live in Oak Ridge, Idaho, and I built Kemp Construction from the ground up. 20 years ago, I was patching drywall and hauling junk in a rusty pickup. Now, we're the biggest full-service contractor in this part of the state. My name's on trucks, hats, job signs, you name it. I put in everything. Blood, years, sweat that soaked through every shirt I owned. That night, the music was too loud and too slow for a company party. I stood under the string lights behind the lodge, holding a plastic cup of warm beer, watching my wife dance with another man, a man I paid. Darren Lewis, supposed marketing expert from Denver, slim suit, too much cologne, zero calluses. He twirled Monica like he owned her, hand pressed low on her back, both of them grinning like teenagers at prom. My stomach went cold. Quick note, before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I hadn't touched Monica in weeks, not that she noticed. She said she was too busy scaling the business. Her word, not mine. After 20 years, she suddenly wanted billboards, a podcast, branding campaigns. I pushed back, said it was too much, too fast. We were already in deep with payroll and equipment loans, but she just kept saying, trust me. She used to wear old flannels and muddy boots, worked right beside me, checking orders and measuring siding. Now it was cashmere sweaters, manicured nails, and Zoom calls with guys like Darren. She'd taken over the books last year, said it was more efficient. I let her. God help me, I let her. The way she laughed at something Darren whispered, I felt my jaw clench so hard it clicked. They looked cozy, comfortable, like this wasn't the first time. Tessa, her younger sister, came up beside me holding a plate of shrimp skewers. You okay? She asked, glancing at the dance floor. I didn't answer, just slipped my wedding ring off and dropped it into her free hand. She stared down at it. Ryan? I didn't wait. I turned and walked straight past the bar, through the back door, and into the cold. I drove straight to the shop that night and sat in the dark office until sunrise. By the time the crew showed up, I already knew what I had to do. Play along, keep quiet, and watch everything. Couple weeks later, Monica brought Darren into the office like he was some kind of damn celebrity. Tight navy suit, slicked back hair, shiny shoes that had never seen mud. She smiled way too wide and said, Ryan, this is Darren Lewis, the branding expert I told you about. He's here to help grow Kemp Construction. I didn't shake his hand, just gave a nod and asked, You ever swung a hammer, Darren? He laughed like it was a joke. Not unless hanging picture frames counts. Then he winked at Monica like we were all buddies. I wanted to throw his tablet through the window. Monica jumped in before I could say more. He's going to work with us for a few months. Just observe it first. Get to know our process. He won't be in the way, Darren added. I'm just here to listen and learn. The hell he was. He started showing up every morning like clockwork, following my crew from site to site. First he'd take notes, then he'd start tossing out suggestions. Told my guys how to stack lumber, how to greet customers. Even had the balls to say our company trucks didn't look brand consistent. One morning at the Johnson remodel, he told Charlie, one of my best roofers, to change how he was laying shingles. I stepped in. You don't tell my crew how to work. You don't touch tools. You observe. That's it. He just smiled and said, of course, just thinking out loud. That same week, Monica stopped wearing her usual flannels and work jeans. Suddenly it was tailored blouses, pearl earrings, fresh nails, lipstick in the morning. She'd sit in the office with Darren, laughing at his stupid stories, while I was out digging footings in the rain. That Friday, I walked in from a job soaked head to toe, and they were eating sushi at my desk. Sushi. In a damn contractor's office. Monica looked up and said, You really need to get out of the field more. Let the team handle the grunt work. I dropped my muddy gloves on the floor right in front of her. Next week, she called a meeting, just me and her. Told me she wanted to expand into Boise within the year. We're ready, she said, like it was fact. I've already got Darren running numbers. I leaned back, arms crossed. We've got 3 loans, 2 trucks that need replacing, and we still owe on that backhoe. We're not expanding. Not yet. She rolled her eyes. You're stuck in the past, Ryan. You think too small. Your dad might have been fine with a little family-run shop. But this is the future. I stared at her, trying to remember the last time she looked at me without that edge in her voice. My dad built this business with his bare hands, and I've kept it alive for 2 decades. You don't get to erase that just because some city clown tells you we need a podcast. Monica stood up, arms folded tight. You're afraid to grow. You'd rather play it safe and be average forever. Average paid for this building. Average put Jace through school. Average keeps 30 men working year-round. She didn't say anything after that. Just grabbed her laptop and walked out, heels clicking all the way down the hall like a damn judge slamming a gavel. After that meeting, things got colder fast. Monica barely came home before midnight most nights. Client dinners, she said. Networking. She didn't bother with details. Just breezed in smelling like wine and department store perfume, tossed her purse on the counter, and went straight to bed. No kiss, no touch, no nothing. She stopped wearing her wedding ring, said it got in the way when she typed. And I wasn't stupid. I noticed the pattern. She and Darren were always working late together, meeting with potential vendors, touring Boise locations, pitching to investors I never saw. But every time I asked who these people were, she'd scoff and say, "Why don't you trust me?" Invoices started disappearing. Projects we finished didn't show up in QuickBooks. I'd check the accounts, and things didn't add up. Monica used to walk me through everything. Now she just waved it off like I was annoying her. "It's all above board," she said once without even looking up from her laptop. "You don't need to babysit the numbers." I stopped trying to hold her at night. She'd pull away, or worse, just lay there like a damn statue. Then came the sighs, the eye rolls, the silence. One night, I couldn't take it anymore, so I grabbed my truck keys and drove down to Carl Dean's place. He owns Dean's Hardware, been one of my closest friends since high school. Carl was closing up when I rolled into the lot. "You look like hell," he said, flipping the sign to closed. "I need to ask you something," I said, voice low. He motioned me inside. "You want a beer or a punch in the face first?" I cracked half a smile. "Just the beer." We sat in his back office while the fridge hummed. I told him everything. Darren, the late nights, the books not adding up, how she looked at me like I was a burden now. Carl leaned back, jaw tight. Then he looked me dead in the eye. "I wasn't going to say anything unless you asked, but they've been seen around." I set the beer down. "What do you mean?" "My cousin saw him at Leona's Lounge last Friday, jazz night. Said they were in a booth all cozy, holding hands. Darren had his arm around her." I stared at him, tried to picture it, failed. "She said it was a client dinner." Carl shook his head slowly. "I ain't your wife's biggest fan, Ryan, but even I didn't want this to be true. My cousin's not a liar, said it looked personal." My mouth went dry. "You sure it wasn't just a misunderstanding?" "Buddy, I've seen couples trying to hide before. This wasn't that. This was full-on show-off mode." I didn't speak for a while, just stared at the floor, then out the window like the truck might drive itself away from all this. "You want to see it for yourself?" Carl asked. "Next jazz night's Friday." I nodded once. "Yeah, I need to know what the hell I'm dealing with." Carl cracked another beer and passed it to me. "All right then, we'll go. But you don't make a move unless you're damn sure." Friday night came quicker than I wanted. I hadn't slept much. Every time I shut my eyes, I saw her laughing with him. Not just cheating, comfortable. That's what stuck with me. Like, it wasn't even a secret. I was in the garage, fake working on the tool bench when my phone buzzed. "Carl." "They're here. Just walked in. Same booth as last time." I didn't respond, just grabbed my keys, slid into the truck, and headed across town. No music, no AC. Just me and the road, and my stomach chewing itself up. I parked across the street from Leona's Lounge and killed the engine. From the cab, I had a clear view through the tinted windows, dim lighting, live jazz, candlelight flickering across tabletops. And there they were, back corner booth, like Carl said. Monica had her hair down, curled, makeup sharp. She was laughing at something Darren said, tossing her head back like they were on vacation. His arm was stretched along the back of the booth, fingers tracing her shoulder. I leaned forward and watched her lean in. She kissed him, full on the mouth. then slid closer like it was nothing. I didn't move. Couldn't. My chest felt like it had been split open with a crowbar. For a second, I honestly thought I'd get out of the truck and walk straight through that door. Thought I'd grab him by the collar, throw him across the table, and tell the whole damn bar what he was. But I didn't. Instead, I sat there frozen. Watching my wife wrap herself around a man I paid to help grow our business. Watching her laugh with him like I never existed. I don't know how long I was there before Carl's truck pulled up behind mine. He walked over and opened the passenger door. Didn't say a word, just sat down. "Did you see?" I asked. "Yeah," he said. "Clear as day." I stared out the windshield. They weren't even hiding it. Carl let out a breath. "You want me to go in with you?" "No," I said, shaking my head. "I ain't blowing up a jazz night. Not here, not like this." "So what now?" I gripped the steering wheel till my knuckles popped. Now I do what she never expected. I wait. I get everything lined up. When I move, it'll be clean. Dead to rights. No wiggle room. Carl nodded. "All right. You tell me what you need." I glanced back at the window. She was sipping her wine, smiling at Darren like she found gold. "She thinks I'm some tired old fool," I muttered. "She's about to find out who I really am." I pulled into the driveway later that night, engine still warm, and just sat there for a second. Lights were on in the living room, but the house felt dead from the outside. No music, no laughter, just hollow. I walked into the garage and started putting away tools just to give my hands something to do. I didn't hear Jace come in until I turned around and saw him leaning against the doorframe, arms crossed, eyes dark. "Dad," he said, voice tight. "Can I ask you something?" I tossed a wrench in the drawer and wiped my hands. "Shoot. Is Mom cheating on you?" It hit like a gut punch. Kid didn't even blink when he said it. "What makes you ask that?" I said carefully. He looked down, scuffed his sneaker against the concrete. "I heard her on the phone yesterday. She didn't know I was in the hallway. She called Darren babe, told him you don't suspect a thing." My throat locked up. I took a slow breath. "You sure that's what she said?" "Yeah, I memorized it, word for word." He looked up, eyes hard now. "And there's more." He pulled a folded paper from his hoodie and handed it over. It was a printed bank statement, account I didn't recognize. Monica's name, 43 grand sitting in it. "Where'd you get this?" I asked. "I found it in her desk drawer. I was looking for my calculator and saw a folder marked private." He paused. I started comparing dates. That deposit on the 14th, that was from the Stewart garage build, but that job's marked paid in your system. I stared at the numbers. My chest felt like it was filled with cement. I looked at him, 15, braces, still in his JV hoodie, and he had more guts than most grown men I knew. "You been doing all this on your own?" I asked. He nodded. "I didn't know what else to do. I didn't want to believe it." I pulled him into a hug and held on tight. "I'm proud of you, Jace. You hear me?" He sniffed once. "Yeah." That night, after he went to bed, I waited until Monica passed out on the couch. Wine glass on the coffee table, laptop half open beside her. I eased it onto my lap and went digging. First thing I found was an email folder marked plans. I opened it, read every line. Emails between her and Darren going back months. They weren't just screwing around. They were stealing from me. Creating fake vendor invoices, skimming from real projects, redirecting funds into that private account. And then I saw the file labeled Cabin Leverage Plan. I opened it. She wanted to use my family's mountain cabin, land my dad built with his bare hands, as collateral for a business loan. Darren had even drafted the paperwork. My mouth went dry. There were digital signatures mocked up, and a list of potential co-signers. Her next stop was my parents. I stared at that screen for a long time, heart pounding, jaw locked. She was trying to take everything. I closed the laptop quietly, stood up, and walked outside into the dark. I drove up to the mountain first thing the next morning, gravel crunching under the tires, sun barely up over the ridge. The old family cabin sat just where it always had, solid logs, green tin roof, pine needles dusting the porch. I built half that back deck with my dad when I was 16. Place smelled like cedar and coffee and sawdust. My mom opened the door before I knocked. Ryan, she said, surprised. Everything all right? Where's Dad? I asked. She stepped aside. Inside, reading the paper. Dad was at the kitchen table with his glasses on, mug in hand. I sat down across from him, heart hammering. Monica come up here recently? I asked. He frowned. Couple weeks ago, yeah. Said she was working on some expansion and needed us to co-sign a bank loan. Something about using the land as collateral. My jaw tightened. You sign anything? No, Mom cut in. We told her we'd think about it, but I didn't like how rushed she was. Dad set the paper down. She said it was for growth, to help you. I looked him dead in the eyes. It wasn't. She's been stealing from the business, skimming money with some guy from Denver. She's having an affair, and now she's trying to use this land to cover their tracks. My mom's hand flew to her chest. Jesus, Ryan. I didn't want to believe it either, I said. But I've seen the emails, the fake invoices, bank statements, even a draft of the loan paperwork with this address on it. Dad leaned back in his chair, face hard. She tried to rob us. She tried to rob everything we built, I said. And if you had signed, you'd be on the hook for whatever mess she's planning. Mom shook her head, tight-lipped. I never trusted her completely. Too smooth. Always pushing, always talking fast. Dad looked at me. What do you want us to do? Don't sign a damn thing. If she contacts you, calls, shows up, tell me first. Let me handle it. You planning on going to the cops? Mom asked. Already gathering evidence, I said. But I need time. She thinks I'm blind, and I need her to keep thinking that a little longer. Dad stood up, walked over to the cabinet, and pulled out the manila folder Monica left. Here, we didn't touch it. Figured it wasn't right. I took it. Thanks. Mom crossed her arms, voice low but steady. That land's been in our family for 3 generations. Your grandfather built this cabin with axe and rope. I'll die before I watch some selfish liar take it from us. She won't, I said. I swear on my life. Dad clapped a hand on my shoulder. Then you do what you gotta do. Just don't lose yourself in the fight. I nodded, eyes burning but dry. I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing it to protect what matters. On the way back down the mountain, I pulled over at a turnout and made the call. Deanna Russell picked up on the second ring. Ryan Kemp, she said, crisp and calm. I've been expecting you? Deanna was the type of lawyer that didn't blink. Owned her office outright. Ran her practice like a war room. I handed over everything. Emails, invoices, bank statements, copies of the cabin loan drafts. She called me 2 days later. You've got a hell of a case, she said. Fraud, embezzlement, possibly identity misrepresentation on those vendor accounts. But we wait. Let them move first. You interrupt it too early. It becomes a he said, she said mess. Let them hang themselves. So I waited. It wasn't easy, pretending everything was fine. I had to eat breakfast with a woman who was actively gutting my life behind my back, smile at her across the table, answer questions about the crew like I didn't know she was cooking our books dry. Then one night, she came into the kitchen in heels and lipstick, all chipper like nothing was rotting beneath the surface. Hey, she said, setting her purse on the counter. Got a wedding coming up, my cousin Miranda's. It's at that new resort out by Ketchum. Whole family's going. You'll come, right? I looked up from my plate. Sure, when is it? 2 weekends from now. I'll get us a room. Oh, and Darren's going. He's close with Miranda, too. It'll be fun. I forced a smile. Looking forward to it. Inside, I was boiling. She leaned against the counter and took a sip of wine, watching me. You should try being more social at these things. Darren said you come off intense sometimes. I bit the inside of my cheek. I'll be charming, she laughed. Try not to grill him about marketing this time. I'll play nice, I said. She walked off humming, pleased with herself. And I knew, right then, that was the moment. That wedding would be it. I called Deanna, told her the plan. She said, perfect, we'll prep everything. Timelines, files, asset transfers, bank activity. You just stay quiet until you're ready to break it. Not going to be easy, I said. You want peace or pride? I didn't answer. I already knew. For the next 10 days, I played house. Pretended to be curious when she showed me new logos. Nodded when she name-dropped Boise investors. Sat across from her during dinner while she texted Darren with a smirk on her face. And every second of it I was memorizing. I watched her posture change when she mentioned his name, saw the way she lit up when she thought she was being clever. She truly believed she had me by the throat. Night before the wedding, I sat out on the porch while she packed inside. Jace came out with a soda and leaned on the rail. "You sure you're okay doing this?" he asked. "I'm sure," I said. "You stay with Carl this weekend." He nodded. "Mom thinks you don't know." "That's the idea." I didn't sleep much that night, too busy running every move in my head like a chess match. If she smiled at me, I'd smile back. If she kissed him, I'd wait. Let her bury herself in front of everyone. Then, when the moment was right, I'd drop the hammer. The resort was ridiculous. Stone fountains, string lights wrapped around every tree, and enough champagne to float a boat. I walked through the crowd in my best shirt and boots, quiet, steady. Kept my eyes forward. Let them think I was just another family man tagging along for small talk and shrimp skewers. Inside the ballroom, Monica was already holding court. Tailored red dress, hair done to perfection, smile polished and fake as hell. Darren stood right beside her, hand on her lower back like he owned her. She looked like she was in her prime. I knew better. She was rotting from the inside. They danced like they were starring in some sick romance movie. Her arms around his neck, his hands all over her waist, no shame at all. Her family didn't blink. Either they were blind or they were too polite to say it out loud. I stood back by the bar and watched it all, just like I said I would. Tessa found me eventually, wine glass in hand. "You okay?" she asked, already scanning my face. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my wedding ring, and dropped it into her palm. "Tessa, it's over." She stared at it like I'd handed her a bomb. "Wait, what?" "You were right to doubt her. I didn't want to see it, but I do now. It's done." She swallowed hard, blinking fast. I knew something was off, but Ryan, what happened? "Everything you're thinking, worse." Her voice cracked. "Jesus, I'm sorry." "Don't be," I said. "Just keep your distance when it goes down." She clutched the ring in her hand like it burned. "Please don't do anything stupid." "I'm past stupid. I'm just done." I stepped out through the side doors and walked toward the parking area where the noise faded and the air didn't reek of perfume. I didn't have to wait long. Darren followed a couple minutes later, phone in hand, typing something with that smug little bounce in his step. I stood by the fence and waited until he looked up. "Ryan," he said, slowing. "Didn't know you were still here." "Oh, I'm here," I said. "Figured I'd give you a little wedding gift." He cocked his head. "What's that supposed to mean?" I pulled out my phone and opened a folder marked Proof, screenshots, emails, financial records, all of it laid out in rows. "See this?" I held the screen out. "Emails from your little lover, fake invoices with your signature, proof of money stolen from my company. And here, loan documents for my family's cabin. You two really thought you'd pull it off?" He glanced down, face stiff. "You're bluffing." "I'm not, and the cops already have it." His mouth twitched like he wanted to say something smart but couldn't find it. "Police reports filed," I said. "Lawyer on standby, everything tied up neat." He tried to smile. "Look, Ryan, this doesn't have to get ugly. We can talk about a deal." "No deal," I snapped. "You lied, you stole, you screwed my wife and tried to screw my family. You're done." The footsteps behind us made him flinch. Jace walked up, chin high, eyes locked on Darren. "I knew you were trash," he said. "You're a parasite." "Jace, go back inside," Darren started. "Don't speak to him," I said. "He's my son, not yours." Darren's smirk vanished. Jace stepped beside me. "We're not scared of you. You got nothing left." Darren looked between us, chest puffed, trying to salvage pride. "You'll regret this, Ryan." "No," I said. "You will." He turned and stormed off like a man who'd just realized the house was burning down and he was still inside it. Jace let out a slow breath. "That felt good," I nodded. "Told you we'd handle it." He gave a little half smile. "Can we leave now?" "We're done here." First thing the next morning, I drove straight to the bank. By noon, every joint account was frozen. I signed documents to protect the business line, locked the family cabin under its own LLC, and filed new access controls on payroll. The lawyer had every base covered. I changed the locks at the house and shop. replaced the code on the garage. Monica had no clue yet, but she'd find out soon enough. At 3:17 that afternoon, she did. She pulled up fast, tires throwing gravel, and stomped up the porch in heels like she still lived there. Started banging on the door before I even stood up. "Ryan, open the door! What the hell is this?" I opened it slow and stepped outside, pulling the door shut behind me. "You changed the locks?" she said, eyes wild. "You froze the accounts?" "That's right," I said calmly. "Why?" "You want the short version?" I asked, pulling the folder from my jacket. "Because I'm not funding your scam anymore." She blinked. "What the hell are you talking about?" I opened the folder and held up the screenshots. Emails between you and Darren, fake invoices, private bank account transfers, theft, wire fraud. And this, I flipped the page, the loan documents where you tried to use my parents' cabin without their permission. She snatched the paper, hands shaking. "This is insane. You're paranoid." "Keep going," I said, flipping more pages. "This one's where you called Darren Babe and said I don't suspect a thing." Jace heard that himself. "Jace, he's just a kid. He misunderstood." Right on cue, the door creaked open behind me. "I didn't misunderstand," Jace said, voice hard. "I heard it. I found the bank records. I brought them to Dad." She spun toward him. "Baby, please, don't call me that," he snapped. "You lied to us, to both of us." Her face fell, but only for a second. "I did it for the family. We needed growth. Darren had connections. You never listened. You stole from me," I cut in. "You lied, you cheated, and you damn near got my parents pulled into your mess." Tears welled up in her eyes. She stepped forward, reaching. "Ryan, I didn't mean for it to go this far. Please, we can fix this." "It's already over," I said. "You ended it. I'm just cleaning up." Jay stepped down beside me. "I'm staying with him, my real dad." That broke her. She dropped to her knees on the porch, sobbing, mascara running like cheap ink. "You can't do this. You can't just cut me out of everything." "I already did," I said. "You just showed up too late to stop it." She screamed something I didn't catch, then got up and stormed off to her car, tires peeling out down the street. I figured that was it for the day. But an hour later, 2 patrol cars rolled into the driveway. I watched from the porch as a female detective stepped out and adjusted her belt. She had that calm, steady walk of someone who wasn't here for guessing games. "Ryan Kemp?" she asked. "That's me." "Detective Sandra Holt. We got a call about domestic interference and potential property dispute. Mind if we talk?" "She called this in?" I asked. She did. Said she was locked out of her legal residence and business. I handed her the folder. "Here's why." She started flipping through. 5 pages in, she stopped. "Is this a vendor fraud case?" "Multiple counts. Bank wire records, forgery, attempted loan fraud." She looked up. "Have you filed with the county?" "My lawyer filed a complaint this morning. She's emailing everything to your department, too." Holt nodded. "Mind if I speak with your son?" Jace came out the front door before I even called him. "I'm here," he said. "You live here full time?" she asked. He nodded. "Yeah, and I heard her say she was stealing. I found stuff on her computer, too." She looked back at me. "What's the other guy's name? The one involved?" "Darren Lewis, though that might not be his real name." Holt raised an eyebrow. "You're right, it's not. We just ran him. Real name's Daniel Clay. He's got 2 priors in Colorado for wire fraud and financial impersonation. Served time both times." Jace's mouth dropped. "He's a damn criminal?" Holt looked at me. "Sounds like you've been set up for months, but you caught it in time. We'll open a full investigation. Expect follow-up in the next couple of days." I nodded. "We'll be ready." She turned to her team and waved them back. "For now, you're good, but don't let her back in, not without a court order." Jace looked at me as they pulled away. "Daniel Clay," he muttered. "She picked a guy with a rap sheet." "She picked wrong," I said, "and now they're both going to pay for it." That was 8 months ago. Since then, it's been a hell of a climb. But we're standing on solid ground again. Monica got 7 years. Fraud, conspiracy, attempted theft. She cried in court like she deserved sympathy. Judge didn't blink. Daniel Clay, real name, real history, got 14. 2 priors didn't help his case. Neither did the forged signatures or fake vendors. About a month after their arrests, some woman named Allison Carter showed up at the job site in a blazer and fake concern, claiming she was an old friend of Monica's. Said she wanted to smooth things over. I didn't even let her finish her pitch. Called Deanna and had her escorted off the property before she could blink. Turns out Allison was the third wheel in their operation. Handled account setups in Oregon and Nevada. She's under investigation now, too. Business is back. Stronger than it's been in years. We lost a few clients when the story hit, but we gained double that from people who respected how we handled it. We cut the dead weight, streamlined operations, and I finally hired a bookkeeper who answers to me. The cabin's protected under the new trust. Can't be touched again by anyone outside the family. Dad's name's still carved in the back beam above the porch. Henry Kemp, 1973. Every time I see it, I feel like we won. Jace got accepted into Boise State's architecture program 2 weeks ago. First in the family to go that route. Kid's sharper than I ever was at that age. He's started calling me Dad, without hesitation now. Not because he has to, but because he wants to. Today we sat on the porch after dinner, just me and him, watching the sun drop behind the ridge. Cool breeze, smell of pine in the air. He nudged my shoulder and said, "She made bad choices, but we're good, right?" I clapped his back and looked him in the eye. "We're solid," I said, "and we're home."